Hi, my name is Shelby Van, and I'm the founder of the Happy Hippies Academy. Today, I will be giving you 7 questions to ask your energy healing practitioner. So, question number 1: what happens in a session? Your energy healer, Reiki healer, crystal healer, they should be able to tell you what goes on in a session. So, for example, I do Reiki, and in my Reiki sessions, I will have you, if it's in person, also clarify whether it's an in person or a distant healing session. Um, I will have you in person lay down on the massage table, fully clothed, and I may have a blanket for you if you get cold. And I will start with calling in the energy of Reiki. So it's a universal energy. And what happens at the beginning is that I will start on your not your sacral, your solar plexus, which is located. You can't really see when I'm sitting here, but it's right underneath the boobs, basically. Solar plexus is right there. And then I will do the sacral, which is the belly button, the root chakra, which is by the hips or the tailbone. And then I'll go through and I will tell my client exactly where I'm going to be putting my hands on them. And and then let them know, like, this is a hands-on session, or if you prefer to not to be a hands-on session, then it doesn't have to be, because with Reiki it can either be hands-on, or I can hover in the energetic field in the aura. And this is also how it works with distant. And so this would be the other thing that you talk about, that you'd want to know if you're doing a distant session. Like, how does it look? Are we doing it through Zoom? Is it a phone call? Do you send me anything? Like, how do I know that the healing is being done? How do I know it's completed? Do I get like messages? Do I get audio? What do I get at the end of it, so that I know that the session has been completed? So that was a few questions in one. Basically, question number 1 is, what does a session look like? What happens in the session? Question number 2 is, will you talk to me in the session? And can I ask questions? Because as a client, and when I go and get my own energy healing sessions done, I like my practitioners to talk to me, and I like to be able to ask questions. And after being with various types of practitioners, some prefer to talk, some don't. And the people that like to converse with me and don't mind me asking questions are the people that I like to go back to. And you may have a different you might want something different from your sessions. You may want to be able to ask questions. You may want them to explain. You may want a quiet session. And whatever it is you want to know what the practitioner is likely to offer you. And because some practitioners don't actually want to talk to you. And this is probably one of my more biased opinion that I have on this, but I think that some practitioners that don't speak, that don't want to talk, I don't know if they fully trust their intuition in guiding them with the messages that they're getting. And I want my practitioner to be confident in being able to relay those messages to me for me to interpret. I want those messages. And so I'm more hesitant to go to someone that says that they don't really speak to me, or if I go to the session and I haven't asked that question and they don't really speak to me, or they don't really want to, I don't think that they're as in tune with their intuition in those messages, which is a really important aspect in a healing session, at least when I am receiving it. And also when I am, as the Reiki practitioner, I have a lot of messages that come through, and I like to share all of that with my clients. So number 2, will they talk to you in the session, and will they let you ask questions? Number 3, how will you ground me at the end of the healing session? This is a really important question to ask, because when we're working through energy and it's working up through our system, so our body system, if you don't know about the chakras, we have 7 plus. I work with 7, but there are more if you want to work with them. So we have, starting again, as I said at the beginning, our root chakra, working from the bottom of the body up. Root chakra is at our hips. Then we have sacral at the belly button, solar plexus under the boobs, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. Okay. So we have 7 to work with. And as we're working through the energy, the energy comes up through the body and it can circulate back down. But depending on how the session goes. So again, if I'm doing a Reiki session, I start on the more grounding chakras, which again, so starts from under the solar plexus down, sacral and root. I start there. So we start at a grounded stage and then I work up to the heart, throat, third eye, and the crown. And then at the end of the session, I will always ground you back down by putting my hands on one of the lower chakras again to make sure that the energy comes back down, because you can feel very up in the clouds and disconnected if you're really sensitive and the practitioner doesn't ground you down. So that's one of the ways that I will ground down. They can also get you to do a visualization, a grounding visualization, or they can use crystals. So a couple crystal options for grounding, which black tourmaline is this one. And this is also really good for protection, which is going to come into our next question. But black tourmaline helps you to ground. So if they put this by your feet or they ask you to hold it, this is a good option. Same thing with something like this. This is tiger's eye. It's a red tiger's eye. So, there we go. Anything that is black or red is a grounding crystal. Most often is a grounding crystal. That's one of the the ways to know it, but just generally by colors. So crystals are a good option too. Have them at your feet, or they can actually place them on you, or you can place it on yourself if they're okay with that, or you can hold it. So if you're going to put, if you put a grounding crystal on you, then you want to put it on one of the lower chakras again. So basically solar plexus, under the boobs, down, or just like in between your feet is fine too. So the next question, number 4, that you want to ask is, what energetic protection has the practitioner set up, or do they use? I have my own certain beliefs around what can be let in and let out with energetic protection. So some people believe more heavily in like really heavy and negative energies being able to kind of like come in or release. So as a practitioner, I have a protection prayer that I say for myself so that I am protected from my client's energy or from the energy that I just don't want to collect over time throughout my day. And I will say every day, and I will say it ahead of time if I'm going to do a Reiki session. And so I will do that for myself. One of the Reiki symbols is a protection symbol in itself. And so as a practitioner, I put it over my body, it will put over the client. And I can also put the symbols in and around the room. Again, just energetically visualizing it. And that can be an aspect of protection in the room, in the space. Some other ways, again, with protection can be your crystals again. So like I said before, the black tourmaline, having that, whether like I could wear this as a pendant. The client could have protection crystals, that's fine, but you might have to take it off for the healing session. That might be a preference of the practitioner. They might ask you to remove it, or it might be fine. But yeah, the black tourmaline is a good all-purpose crystal for grounding and for protection. So having those and having them around the room or around the table is good for the protection of the room. One of the other options, there's quite a few protection crystals out there, but some of the more attainable, cheaper, easier ones to get, black tourmaline and then amethyst. So this is a little amethyst, not a little, but it's an amethyst point mini tower. And so this could go under, it could be under the massage table, or it could be, again, somewhere in the room. I've got a whole bunch of crystals here in my room, and they can offer protection and stuff as well. So even just having them in the room, if the practitioner can show you that, yes, I've got like these, this is a protection crystal, this is a grounding crystal, these are what's in the room, and I can like bring them to you and use them, then those are good answers. But if grounding and protection, both are necessary things that a energy practitioner should have in place for you. Number 5, this is kind of a loaded question. And this is something that I like my practice. I don't actually ask this, but I can kind of get a sense for it sometimes. And I've heard it from other practitioners and I don't like it. Number 5 is, will you heal me completely? You ask your practitioner this, their answer should be no, in my opinion. And this is why. Energy healing is not something that will completely heal you. It is a very disempowering thing to put healing power into someone else's hands. It can be utilized as a tool upon your healing journey. And that's how you should think about any type of practitioner. It is the client's choice, it is your choice to heal yourself and to do the work and to find the practitioners that you want to go to help you along your healing journey. But no person except yourself is the one that will be able to fully heal you. That is not in anyone else's hands. And so if someone says that, yes, they can completely heal you, I think that's really out of integrity, to be honest. I don't think that's realistic. And again, I think it's very disempowering for them to say that. And just for yourself, you have the power to heal yourself and to make the choices of who and what you want or do in your life to heal. It's not in someone else's hands. And that's a really important thing. It's kind of like a loaded question to ask, but it's something that I think is very, very important. Number 6, are there any side effects and what should I expect after the session? These are important things to know. And sometimes they can give you a bit of a glimpse into whether or not this is a practitioner that you do want, for sure. Because again, energy hits people in a lot of different ways. And so it's important for your practitioner to also be able to help you if there are some sort of side effects. So if you are feeling like, before you leave, if you are feeling lightheaded, then they should be able to say, okay, so you need more grounding than I gave you. So you might want to eat some heavier foods, or you might want to go and go for a walk outside, or sit outside and like sit on the ground in nature if it's nice outside, and like at your feet, put bare feet on the ground. That's supposed to be a very grounding thing. Or put your hands on a tree, or if you have plants at home or something like that. Nature in itself is very grounding. So if they're feeling dizzy or just like up in the clouds still, and they've done the practitioner has done the grounding already, then they need to be able to say, okay, here are a couple other things that you can do to help ground. And then days later, like they may say, like it's good for your practitioner to also potentially check in and say, did anything else come up a few days after the session? Because like we did a lot of energy work, and in this area there was like a block. Like, do you feel like you may feel symptoms relieved? So in saying that we like me, myself, or any other practitioner will heal you, energy healing can help alleviate some symptoms because it'll move the energy. But if you don't do the work to keep it up, to keep to unblock that energy blockage yourself, it'll come back. So we can help move it out of the way for a bit. But if you keep doing the same things over and over again and don't deal with the problems that are creating that blockage, then it will come back. So anyway, alleviating some of the symptoms. So say you have like an upset stomach, and that's been a very some like common thing that's been happening. Then after the session, a few days after the session, you notice that your stomach stops being sore, or like after the session, your stomach stops being sore. That's a good thing to let your practitioner know. And then if something comes back, then you guys can talk about like what else you need to do. So for example, with this particular symptom of an upset stomach, it can be a whole bunch of different things. So for me, this relates into doing the personal, like the life coaching that I do, which is more about learning about your core wounds, your boundaries, your way of interacting with other people and your relationships. because when we have physical ailments of some sort, it's our body speaking to us that something is off. And so we hold it in our body, and we need to do that work on fixing it. So if we're really anxious and our stomach's upset because we have it, like there's this conversation that we really need to have, and that's also the message that came through in the Reiki session, and you don't have it, the symptoms probably aren't going to go away, like they'll come back. But if you move ahead and you end up having that hard conversation after we have the Reiki session, and then you notice that your stomach ache is gone because you've like set that boundary, had that hard conversation, or whatever it is. So the messages that come through, they are up for interpretation. They come through because they need to, but they're up for interpretation, and you take what it is that you need from the sessions. But say that the message is, I'm working on your stomach is hurting, and it seems to be, it's about this situation with your mom. Like you need to have a conversation with her and you're anxious about it, and this is why your stomach's upset. And then you have it, or you have to set a boundary with her, and then you set that boundary or have that conversation, and then your stomach is good. But if you don't set that boundary or don't have that conversation, then the ailment is going to come back, or it's not going to go away. Either or. Anyway, that was a very long way of going, asking about this question. Are there any side effects, and what should you expect? There's lots of different potential things that can happen, and it's just good for your practitioner to be able to say, these are some things that I've seen happen, and this is what you need to do. And if anything comes up, please just let me know, and I can give you some tips about whatever your particular thing is. Okay, last question. How did you receive your certification? Again, this one is a little bit of a loaded question because I have my own personal beliefs on how people get their certification and what I think is the appropriate way of doing it. And I really do believe that for energy healing, it should be in person. There needs to be certain types of curriculum involved. So again, if people can't answer these questions of like, what protection do you use? How do you ground? What's going to happen? Any of the above questions, basically, I feel like they've missed something in their education of becoming a healer. This is me being biased and probably judgmental over this, but probably doing an online healing course instead of an in-person healing course. I did all of my stuff. No, I did my Reiki healing in person, and I did this intensive crystal healing course online. But it had all the stuff about protection and like healing protocols, what to do in a session, like the right things to ask, like even saying in our sessions, like don't wear perfume, like don't leave the room, like these things could your client could be anxious about it, and it's good not to leave the room, and not tell them anything. Like there's different things that are taught in really good curriculums, and I find more so in-person trainings and certifications, which are important to the healing session. So asking where they got their certification, I think is, again, it's because ultimately it's up to you. If you're happy with someone that's done an online certification, and all the other answers make you happy, then fine, go ahead, right? It's up to you, and it's up to you using your own intuition on the people that you choose, and what you feel is okay and what you feel is not okay. So that's what I have to say about that. So to wrap up, I'll just ask all the questions one more time so you have them handy. Number 1, what happens in an energy healing session? Number 2, will you talk to me in the session, and can I ask questions? Number 3, how will you ground me at the end of the session? Number 4, what type of protection do you use during the session on me for the session? Number 5, will you heal me completely? Number 6, are there any side effects, and what should I expect after a session? And number 7, how did you receive your certification? That is all for today. If you are interested in booking a Reiki session or in any of my other materials or courses or coaching, any of the above, then please go to my website, which is the Happy Hippies Academy or the hha.ca. And we can chat more there, or you can book in a session. Thanks, guys. Bye.